If your knee pain is not improving despite consistent effort, there is a high probability that one of 3 specific mistakes is working against you. All 3 feel like reasonable responses to knee pain. All 3 are clinically counterproductive for the large majority of presentations. Let me explain each one in detail. Mistake 1 is complete rest. When the knee hurts, stopping all activity feels protective. The knee aches, movement aggravates it, so removing movement removes the aggravation. This logic is intuitive, and it is wrong for almost every common knee pain presentation. Articular cartilage has no direct blood supply. It receives nutrients through diffusion from the synovial fluid, and that diffusion is driven by the mechanical compression and decompression of movement. A knee that rests completely receives less nutritional delivery to its cartilage than a knee that moves appropriately. The muscles supporting the knee, primarily the quadriceps and hip abductors, begin losing strength and neuromuscular coordination within the first few days of significantly reduced activity. Loss of quadriceps strength increases the patellofemoral compressive stress and tibial shear force with every subsequent movement because the muscle is no longer absorbing its share of the dynamic load. Complete rest also does nothing to address the structural driver of the pain. The knee rests, pain reduces, the person returns to the same activity at the same load level, and the pain returns to the same level within days. Rest is not rehabilitation. The paradigm shift in musculoskeletal medicine over the past 2 decades has been from rest as a treatment for pain to graded, progressive loading as a treatment for pain. Graded, pain-guided progressive movement and loading is what drives meaningful structural recovery. Mistake 2 is training through structural pain. This is the opposite error, and it is equally harmful. There is a genuinely important distinction between the discomfort of appropriate loading, the burn of a muscle working through its range, the mild aching after a progressive strengthening session, and structural pain, which is the body signaling that tissue integrity is being compromised under the current load. Training through structural pain compounds tissue damage with every repetition rather than building tolerance. For patellar tendinopathy, loading above the tendon's current tolerance worsens the reactive state and delays the structural remodeling that resolves the condition. In a reactive tendon, the structure is actively trying to remodel and repair. Adding excessive load before that remodeling is complete disrupts the process rather than accelerating it. For patellofemoral pain, training through sharp pain during squatting or stair descent accelerates cartilage stress in the exact configuration that is already producing symptoms. The work of rehabilitation is to identify your tissue's current load tolerance and progress systematically within it, not to push past it. Mistake 3 is treating only the knee. This may be the single most consequential error because it explains why well-intentioned knee rehabilitation produces temporary improvement that never fully resolves. The knee is a transmission joint between the hip and the foot. Weak hip abductors allow the femur to drop and rotate inward, increasing lateral patellofemoral compression and medial knee stress with every step. Restricted ankle dorsiflexion forces the knee into valgus during squatting and landing, loading the medial compartment and ACL more than the joint was designed to tolerate. Treating the knee without addressing these upstream and downstream drivers is treating the site of pain rather than the source. The most common pattern in Malaysian athletes is 2 or 3 rounds of knee-targeted treatment producing temporary improvement followed by recurrence when training volume returns. Each recurrence reinforces the belief that the knee is inherently unreliable, when in reality, the kinetic chain driver was simply never identified or treated. A complete physiotherapy assessment examines the entire lower limb kinetic chain and identifies where the dysfunction actually originates. This assessment typically reveals that the primary driver is 2 joints away from the site of pain. weak hip abductors driving valgus collapse, or restricted ankle dorsiflexion, forcing tibial rotation. The structural driver remains, and it returns the knee to the same loading pattern as soon as rehabilitation stops. Treatment targeting the actual driver, with the symptom side as secondary data, is what finally breaks the recurrent cycle that brings the same knee back to physiotherapy year after year. The link in the description covers the full assessment and treatment approach for knee pain in Malaysia.